Have you ever noticed something kind of strange? Some of the absolute smartest people in the world, the ones who can solve the most incredibly complex problems, they're often the most painfully alone. They can decode the literal mysteries of the universe, right? Yet, a simple, everyday conversation, it just leaves them feeling completely out of place. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're going to dive deep into the hidden psychology of exactly why brilliant minds struggle so much.
So, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt lonely, even when you're standing right in the middle of a crowded room? You're surrounded by people talking, laughing, having a great time, yet you feel completely invisible. If you're a deep thinker, you know exactly what this exhaustion feels like. You know that quiet sting of realizing your mind is just operating on a totally different frequency than everyone else in the room.
The deeper the mind, the lonelier the journey. People generally just assume that high intelligence guarantees an easy life. But intelligence doesn't automatically come with social comfort. In fact, sometimes that brilliance is the exact reason social life feels impossibly hard. Which brings us to part 1, the silent struggle.
Intelligence is basically a superpower that completely backfires socially. Think about it. The raw, intelligent mind is practically built for logic and pattern recognition. It's not really built for casual human connection. So while everyone else naturally runs on this basic social operating system of, emotion and small talk, highly intelligent people are just way too busy analyzing everything around them. Their brain simply never stops. Let's move on to section 2, trapped inside the mind.
So what's actually happening inside a smart person's head during a simple chat? Well, the average person usually just reacts in the moment. They speak, they listen, they just exist. But the intelligent mind? Oh, it is constantly calculating. Literally before they even open their mouth, they're analyzing your tone, they're studying body language, predicting hidden motives, and battling this really quiet fear of judgment. It is absolute mental warfare. This is what we call high introspection. It's a constant internal reflection that literally traps a person inside their own thoughts. While everyone else is just speaking freely, the highly intelligent person is completely paralyzed. They're imagining 100 different future scenarios. What if I sound stupid? What if they completely misunderstand what I'm trying to say? So they stay silent. And not because they have nothing to say, but because their mind is just way too loud.
And neuroscience actually backs this up. Overthinking literally suppresses feeling. When the analytical part of your brain is hyperactive, it physically turns down the volume on your emotional centers. So the intelligent mind is out there running socially with the handbrake totally pulled up. It's what we call the curse of knowledge, this deep, profound understanding that accidentally creates an invisible wall between you and the rest of the world. Now on to section 3, the exhaustion of fake people. A lot of people assume that smart individuals distance themselves because they're arrogant, but actually, it's out of sheer, overwhelming emotional drain because they constantly notice absolutely everything. The fake reactions, the hidden insecurities, the unspoken tension in the room. They can see ego completely disguised as kindness. And when you see human nature that clearly, surface-level small talk literally starts to feel physically painful. It exposes a pretty harsh reality about how we live. Our society tends to reward loud confidence, social performance, and really shallow popularity. But the intelligent mind? It craves quiet observation, raw authenticity, and meaningful depth. The modern world basically hands a microphone to the absolute loudest person in the room, leaving some of the most brilliant minds completely unnoticed. Which leads us to section 4, the hidden childhood scars. You see, this intense social anxiety, it doesn't just appear out of nowhere. Back in childhood, these were often the kids who were called weird, or maybe too quiet. And then in adolescence, they learned a really devastating lesson. Being themselves, being deeply curious, usually equaled rejection. So by the time they reach adulthood, they've built this incredibly thick intellectual mask. They learn super early on. It's just much, much safer to observe the world than to actually participate in it. And that right there creates a really cruel paradox. The very mind that can explain loneliness with absolutely perfect clarity is often the exact same mind that's building the walls. Brilliant people can diagnose precisely why a conversation just got awkward, but they remain stuck because you literally cannot think your way into belonging. Genuine connection is an emotion, right? It's not a logic puzzle you can just solve. Let's look at section 5, breaking the intellectual mask. Because there actually is a way out. Consider this guy Arav. He was always known as the silent guy, incredibly brilliant but deeply, deeply isolated. For him, every single interaction felt like a high-stakes exam he was failing. He would literally rehearse every sentence in his head before speaking. But then one day, during a class presentation, he just stopped trying to sound so perfect. He finally let his guard down. He became totally vulnerable.
Arav actually laughed at his own awkwardness. He shared a personal truth out loud. And you know what happened? For the first time, people truly listened to him. He discovered this deep psychological secret. People are not drawn to perfection. They're drawn to authenticity. Connection didn't happen for him when he was the smartest person in the room. It happened when he finally allowed himself to just be human.
So if you're feeling trapped in your own mind, here's your way out. Step 1. Start moving fluidly between logic and emotion. You really don't have to turn off your brain. Step 2. Dare to be wrong in public, on purpose. Just say, hey, I don't know. Let go of that flawless mask. And step 3, seek depth, not a crowded room. You absolutely don't need to fix yourself. You just need to practice a little bit of vulnerability.
Listen, if you struggle socially, you are not broken. You are simply wired a bit differently. In fact, you could argue that mastering human connection is the highest order intellectual challenge there is. Taking your incredible mental depth and applying it to build genuine emotional connections, that is the mark of true, profound intelligence. Because at the end of your life, no one is really going to remember your IQ. They're going to remember how they felt when they were sitting right there with you. Always remember this. Intelligence without connection is just loneliness with a very good vocabulary. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. The rarest minds were never really created to just follow crowds. So who will you dare to truly connect with today?